Welcome back to another episode of Projecting Grandeur. I am your host, Ron Dichter. This is probably one of my favorite show episodes that we've got. We've got such a unique guest with us today who I think is going to give a really great perspective of life, business, poker, you name it. I think we're going to get a ton from Lexy Gavin-Mather talking about it. She is a professional poker player. She is a coach. She's an author. She's a CBS sports host, content creator, and just an outstanding person and a pretty good golfer, I will say.
Yeah, right. Okay, now you're bluffing me. We're starting off with a bluff.
Well, Lexy, thank you for joining us today. Welcome to Projecting Grandeur.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
You bet. Well, let's just jump right into it. So your path in poker, started with some early losses. You have a little bit of burnout that you talk about. And you really flipped that strategy and that mindset. Can you kind of walk us through the turning point and what triggered the shift?
Oh, totally. So actually, when I first started playing poker, I had a very unusually good run of luck. And I did not have the fundamentals or the understanding of how poker actually works. So I was this young, dumb 21-year-old kid who won a few tournaments within like a couple months. So I had all of this money. I had I was just like on cloud nine, frivolous spending, just like all the things. And that's not how poker works. Poker, there's something called variance, which there's very much a luck factor in poker. Poker is a game of skill more so than the other games in the casino, because the other games you're playing against the house, but poker you're playing against other people. So it's a game that if you study, you can consistently win over time. So I had success early, and then that variance balanced out and quickly changed, and I lost everything. I went broke. I was living in New York at the time, which is where I'm from, and I would gather up just enough money where I had one buy-in at the smallest stakes in Atlantic City. I would take the Greyhound bus. I would stay there in the hotel using my comp dollars. So I would be able to stay in the hotel for free, but I was washing my clothes in the sink. And I quickly went broke after all of that success that I had. And then I realized I really needed to make a switch. So that's when I started studying consistently, developed really good discipline habits of I'm going to study 2 hours a day and play 2 hours a day. And then over time, I would increase that to 3 hours a day and then play 3 hours a day. And then over time, I was starting to learn how to actually win and defy the variance of poker. And yeah, that's kind of how my story went.
That's cool. I didn't realize you had that first success in the beginning. And as 21, having all that money, I can just picture it in my head, like any professional athlete.
Oh yeah. And I was in college when I started playing online, and I was supposed to go to law school. I actually have a degree in political science. And then right after I graduated law school, I was studying for the LSATs. Or right after I graduated college, I was studying for the LSATs while simultaneously playing poker. And I decided, and it was all the success that I had early that made me go the poker route. So that was a very tough pill for my parents to swallow when I told them I was going to go pro. And then I went broke and then turned everything around.
Well, I had a chance to look up your stats, and you've amassed a pretty significant amount of income playing poker. So I think it's worked out pretty well for you. What consistency habits really separate your breakthrough years from those early struggles? You talk about that shit, but what are the habits that you formed?
Yeah. So I have two different things that I really switch. I really focus a lot on my mental health and my body and my physical health. I really amped up my nutrition. I was eating really clean. I was working out in the gym a lot. So poker is such a mental sport that if your body isn't right, your mind's not going to be right. So I eliminated all sugar. I just started eating really, really clean and working out, meditating, journaling, doing all the things that are really good for your brain. And then on the poker side, so poker is, like I said, very much a long-term game. And when you're playing one table, you're only seeing 30 hands an hour. So that's not a lot of volume to get you to the long run fast, if that makes sense. So what I did was I started adding tables online. So instead of playing one table, I played 24 tables or 30 games at one time. So I was seeing thousands of hands an hour as opposed to just 30 hands an hour. So that amount of volume is what got me to gain a lot of experience really fast. And so that was really important for my process. And yeah, just having the discipline to sit down and do it. And then again, making sure that I was studying as much as I was playing, because when you're first starting poker, you need to be studying about 50% of the time. That's at least what I believe. So that's what I was doing.
I am just picturing in my head 30 screens of poker tables and trying to keep track of all that. Like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like a robot. Yeah, I had no life for a while. And then in I think 2012 or 2013, online poker was banned in America. So I moved up to Canada with some friends, some pros, and we lived in a grind house and we would just all play and multi-table and we would learn from each other. And so I had a really good group of mentors who helped me. They're actually some of the most successful poker players in the world. One of which is his name is Greg Merson, and he wound up winning the World Series Poker main event for $10 million. So he was one that really helped me a lot. So yeah, just studying and learning from people better than me, and just doing nothing but poker for many years.
Wow. That's commitment.
Thanks.
Uh, well, as somebody who coaches players to win consistently, how do you help your students stay motivated? Because, as you said, like there's that middle phase where you're not always winning in the variance. Like,
Yeah.
if there's no clear success, how do you keep them from quitting?
Well, the middle stages are where champions are built, and you
Mm.
have to put in the work to achieve success in poker. So instead of chasing bracelets and rings, which is what we win in poker when we win, and money, I was just trying to focus on the small wins. So fixing one leak or a leak in poker is like something you're struggling with. So fixing one leak at a time, and then reviewing all of my hands, and that's what I do with my students. I constantly tell them to write down their hands, review every hand right after every session so that it's fresh in your brain, and to just kind of grind it out and know that if you put in the work now, the success will come.
Yeah. I guess it goes back to that mentor mentality that you had in Canada, that same kind of
Yeah.
staying with them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
for
like
sure.
that.
Yeah.
Well, through the lens of Projecting Grandeur, our show,
Yeah.
how do you define that grandeur moment, that inflection toward confidence and authenticity within your
Mhm.
career?
So, um, as a woman in poker, we're the minority and we constantly feel the need to prove ourselves. So I used to overcompensate and I would like study and do nothing but poker, and I just really wanted to prove myself as a woman poker player. And so in 2020, I decided that I was going to try to go for female player of the year. So basically, whenever you play a tournament, if you cash in that tournament or if you make money, then you're entered in a world ranking system database. And I had a lot of tournament success in 2019, 2020. And I could see that I was like towards the top of the rank for women in that during that time. So I made a plan. I set out a plan to by the end of the year I was going to win female player of the year, and I that was probably the most live poker I've ever played in my life was that year. I would play in the morning, play a tournament in the morning, I would lose it, and then I would go at night and play another tournament at night. So I would say my grandeur moment was actually winning the female player of the year in 2020. Um, I did it on the very last day of the year. I was neck and neck with the woman who got second. And it was December 31st. I wound up winning a tournament for like 8 grand or something, which pushed me over. So that was definitely my grandeur moment in poker that gave me that confidence. That was the defining moment that I was like, all right, I don't have to prove myself anymore. I don't I accomplished this, I did this, and now I feel like personally validated. So
That's awesome. Congrats. That's
thanks.
well, so going back to the middle, let's talk about your middle of the journey. And
Mhm.
like when you were building those fundamentals and overcoming self-doubt and experimenting with strategy and learning and all those great things, like when you think about that middle journey, you know, is that more impactful, or what is that final victory, or is the middle the final victory in that process?
The middle phase is the transformation zone. It's like that's how I the middle phase is when I stopped going broke. So like in my early stages, I must have gone broke, like, and when I mean broke, I mean never fully broke because I had a family that was supportive, but I mean like losing all the money that I had and having to start from scratch and having to so I would go from playing like $1,000 buy-ins, $10,000 buy-ins to having to start back down at 5 cent, 10 cent
Wow.
stakes online. So, and I think I went broke 4 or 5 times. So, the middle phase is when I really stopped going broke and started focusing more on bankroll management and building my bankroll. And the middle phase is when you learn how to actually make money and keep it. So, yeah, the middle phase is definitely super important in my journey because without the middle phase, there is no late phase and there's no success. So, yeah, that was definitely when I transformed myself, my game, and and me as a human.
Yeah, it really makes sense why the mental strength is so important as a professional poker player. Like I've never lived in your shoes, but I can just get a little sneak peek here.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, well, as I did my research before the show here, what I have come to find out is that your style is embraced as, or is described as exploitive, maybe even aggressive.
Yeah.
And by being, female at the table, how has that influenced your identity and really your approach to coaching?
Yeah. So I always say aggression wins in poker. A strategy of betting and raising and putting pressure on your opponents and putting your opponents in the difficult spot is going to win you more long term than a passive strategy of like checking and calling and just being easily bullied. So I teach aggression, and as a woman, before I was known, now I think everybody knows that I'm more of an aggressive player. But before I was known in poker, pe- the majority of people look at a woman, even still, and it's kind of sad, and they assume that they're a tight player, meaning they don't play a lot of hands. They're not going to bluff a lot. If they bet, they probably have a strong hand. So I recognized that perception of me early, and I adapted a style to combat that. So if I knew that I was playing against someone who thinks that I'm a type player, then I'm going to bluff you more because my bluffs are going to work more. Um, but on the flip side, a lot of times men liked playing in pots with me. They just wanted an excuse to play with me. And I would have to determine what if that was the type of person that I was playing against. So in that case, I wouldn't bluff as much because I know that they're probably going to call because they want to be in a pot with me. Um, I don't really experience that much now. If anything, I find that people like to play in pots with me when I'm filming for YouTube because then they feel like they can get on the vlog and be famous. So it's constantly about understanding who your opponent is and how you can adjust and exploit that person.
So interesting, which is a great segue into what I want to talk about next.
Okay.
So I know content creation plays a big role in your work, especially as you're vlogging the World Series of Poker.
Mhm.
How has documenting your ongoing journey, added layers of resilience, maybe even transparency, and
Yeah.
your personal brand growth?
Yeah. Transparency. That's the keyword because I can't hide behind the vlog. I can't hide behind anything. I put it all out there. So I have to understand that by showing the hands that I play, I'm opening myself up to a lot of criticism, which I've gotten, oh my gosh, I've gotten more criticism. People are very opinionated when they're behind a screen. But, yeah, I guess I would have to say it keeps me accountable. I like I said, I can't hide my losses. You can't only like film your winning hands because that's not transparent. And I try to be as open and honest on my YouTube channel as possible. I like to show my raw emotion when I bust a tournament. I don't wait to put the camera on. I film myself in that moment when I'm feeling raw, when I'm feeling vulnerable and angry. And I like to show it because I want to be transparent to the people that are watching and not like and just show poker for what it really is. It's tough and it you're gonna get chewed up and spit out time and time again. Um so that I guess is the answer to part A of that question. For the brand growth, the vlog documenting my journey has helped me tremendously. I've gotten amazing sponsorship opportunities. I'm now in talks with the World Series of Poker. They're going to be, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this yet, but I'm going to. I probably have a deal with the World Series of Poker. They're going to be sponsoring me and helping me with my channel. And I've created a poker course called the Poker Accelerator that I use YouTube as a means to market my course. And I just try to help people as much as I can. And I love that I get to do that through the channel. And I love meeting my fans and connecting with them, and, so, yeah, it's just been super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I found out you're an author too. You
Yeah.
know, your book, Mastering Small Stakes, No Limit Tournaments, seems to focus on foundational strategy. Like, how do these small but consistent wins reflect the mastery of the middle phase? I mean, like,
Yeah.
talk to me about that. Like, I love hearing about the book.
Yeah, so my book is geared mostly towards the majority of players out there. The majority of people that play poker are recreational and they're not doing it professionally. So my book is more for them, for the people that want to develop good study habits and understand the fundamentals of poker and the strategy behind it. Yeah, it's just been great. I Yeah, I don't really know much more to say about that.
No,
It's just go
yeah,
check out the book. You can get it on dnbpoker.com.
that's awesome. Yeah, I probably need to pick it up because I will tell you, I am not good at bluffing, nor you know, when I'm bluffing, I tend to have a big old grin and I'm trying to hold it back. So I'm like, I think you call that your tell. I'm terrible.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because Bob, my husband, he's a private investigator and I'm a poker player. So we're like always trying to make reads on each other. Like, did you eat that cupcake? Your nostrils are flaring and that's your tell.
That's
So yeah, in
funny.
the book, I talk a lot about how to read people and the math behind the game. And then I also share a lot of personal experiences and a lot of my stories from my journey.
That's very cool.
Thanks.
Well, our show has a lot of different viewers, from businesses to entrepreneurs to athletes, actors.
Cool.
And I think this question really relates across the board. So, what's the single best piece of advice you would give someone who's stepping confidently into that middle stage
Mhm.
where growth is happening, but maybe the destination is not quite there, or maybe it's not even visible yet?
Yeah, I guess my advice is to stick with it and fall in love with the process and not
Mm,
the outcome. It like I said, the middle stage is where champions are built. So it's like if you don't if you're not having success in the middle stage and you're frustrated, just stick with it because I never thought that I would be to where I am and uh I just worked hard and worked through it. And if you're not getting kicked on your butt and if you don't have moments and days where you're just like wanting to pull your hair out and you're like this isn't working, then you're not doing it right because I think that that's part of the process. And Ron, you're a successful business owner. Like haven't you had those moments where you're just like so frustrated and you just want to quit and but you stick with it and you right? Like
I had a whole episode on going fetal under my desk where you're just ready to go throw in the towel and you're just ready to melt down. I've had a lot of those moments.
Yeah, it's like part of the process. Like embrace it, enjoy it, look forward to it, and when you overcome it, you just feel so amazing and you're like, "Wow, I got through that and here I am now and I can't believe it."
I couldn't agree more. Even something as simple as a workout, if you're feeling bad for the day, just
Totally.
powering through, how much better you feel at the end of that.
Totally. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Mhm.
Well, what's next? Like, I mean, looking ahead, as I think about what's next for Lexi and how do you continue modeling, projecting grandeur and turning potential into reality? Like, I'd love to hear more of what's coming up for you.
For sure. I have a lot. I have a lot coming up. I want to keep scaling my business, my poker course, keep building and adding to that, growing my subscriber base on YouTube. Like I said, I have the deal most likely coming up with the World Series of Poker. I'm getting ready to go over to Cyprus in a couple weeks to play in the World Series of Poker Super Circuit over there, which I'm excited about. I've never been to Cyprus. So just keeping up the content creation. I had a goal when I first started YouTube that I wanted to hit 10K subscribers. I hit that within maybe a month or two. So now my next goal is a million. Yeah, a million. So yeah, just keep growing and then keep growing as a person. Staying humble. Poker has a way of making you feel like you're on top of the world, and it's a lucrative career, but you can also lose a lot of money too. So staying humble, staying grounded, keeping my eye on the prize. May write another book, may not. Haven't really decided on that. And yeah, that's about it.
That's amazing. Well, I'll make sure to put all of your links, socials, and everything in the release of the episode. But if there's one place, just for anyone maybe not looking at the show but actually hearing it, any place you want them to go to learn more about you?
Yeah, check out my YouTube channel. It's Lexy Gavin Poker, Lexy Gavin Gavin Poker. And I document my poker journey there. I film the tournaments that I'm playing. I also give a lot of strategy, and I have all of the links to all of my other stuff in the description box. So
Awesome. Well, Lexi, it has been so much fun having you on the show. Thanks for taking out time out of your busy schedule to join us today.
no problem. Thanks so much for having me around. Appreciate it.
You bet. And for everyone else, keep protecting your grandeur. Remember, your potential is waiting for you. You just have to go after it. So don't settle. Make it happen, everyone. Have a good day.